Alright, so we're live there. Alright, finally I think we're live. What is up, everyone? Hope you're all doing good. And I think we're good to go. Alright, sorry about that. Big tech problems tonight. We're up and running. Alright boys, we are up and running, I think. I'm not 100%, few tech problems tonight, but pretty sure. Alright, yeah, we're good to go. What is up, everybody? Finally, Jesus Christ, that was painful. Yeah, for basically, man, the streaming software I use to stream, like, logged me out of, like, all the platforms I stream on, Twitch, YouTube, and also my website, so had to kind of log back into everything, but it reset all my settings, so I had to set everything up again. Very annoying. I was hoping to just bang out a quick live stream before the NFL. Finally we get going, but about 40 minutes later than usual, which is an absolute nightmare, so sorry for the late start, boys. So anyway, in this live stream we are going to be researching the fight between Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz. So obviously very interesting fight we've got coming up this weekend. Nick Diaz's return after a really long layoff, and hopefully we'll be able to dig up a bet on this one. So let's start off by taking a look at the odds. So Robbie Lawler, currently the slight favourite at average odds of about, actually, you know what, if you shop around you can get, I would say average odds are about 1.87 on Lawler. So 1.87 is minus 115 for an implied probability of 53%. And if we take a look at the odds on Diaz, he is currently around about an average of, yeah, I would say 2.0. Decent number of sites have got him at 2.0, so we'll pop that in 2.0, which is plus 100 for an implied probability of 50%. So in this live stream research session, we're going to be taking a look at Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz's last few fights to kind of see which side is the stronger to be on. So thank you for watching this, guys. Really appreciate it. If you are watching this after the fact on YouTube, just know that there's no timestamps or anything like that, because just this is a live research session where we're kind of going to be studying their recent fights together as a group. And yeah, because this is live, this is not like a properly constructed video or anything like that. So let's get into it. So if we start off by taking a look at the X factors, there's obviously quite a lot of X factors on this one. So Robbie Lawler has, you know, a massive amount of miles on the clock. He's had over 40 pro fights now. He's been in a lot of wars. He's taken a ton of damage in his career, and he spent a lot of time actually, you know, in fights as well. What I mean by that is a lot of his fights have gone the distance. He's been involved in a lot of 25-minute title fights. He's suffered a lot of wear and tear on the body, and obviously, you know, all the damage that he will have suffered throughout his career he's going to have racked up, and he's probably dealing with quite a lot of chronic long-term injuries, you know, as a result of all the damage that he's taken. So 39 years old isn't great. You would be expecting Robbie to decline significantly from fight to fight, and on top of that, I do feel we've really seen this decline from him, particularly in his last two fights. There is like one major red flag that a fighter starts to demonstrate when they are on a steep decline. We've kind of seen this a little bit in Tyron Woodley towards the end of his career, but we see it in a lot of fighters, and that is, you know, when a fighter is starting to decline in a big way, they just lose that fire. They're not able to pull the trigger like they used to. They become very passive, and for whatever reason they just don't seem to want to win anymore. They seem to kind of hold back a lot, and we've definitely seen a lot of that behaviour from Robbie in his last two against Magny and Covington. He just can't pull the trigger anymore. He's kind of in there to survive instead of go out there and try to win. He's very passive, very tentative, and that's like the biggest red flag you can have when it comes to MMA. So Robbie Lawler, a fighter who's on a very steep decline, and no surprise with him being 39 years old and having so many pro fights. But Nick obviously has his own issues. He's also got a lot of fights as well. Nick's been in a good number of wars. He's 38 years old, you know, very old, 6 foot tall with a 76-inch reach. So both guys are roughly the same size, roughly the same age. But we know for sure Robbie is on a very steep decline. I mean, I imagine Nick would be as well. But obviously, we'll take a look at his fights, and then we will be able to, try and gauge where Nick's at this stage in his career. So let's kick things off by taking a look at some footage on Nick Diaz. Let's take a look at his last fight against Anderson Silva. So the way this works, obviously, I will grab you guys the link to watch this on Fight Pass, and then you can sync it up. We can all watch it together, and then hopefully we'll be able to dig up a bet on this one. So sync it up for me, guys. Let's get it going. Sync it up. Pop it in Twitch as well. Sync it up. Let's get it going, guys. And where is the countdown clock? Alright, here we go. So sync up round 1 for me. And all I remember about this fight was that Anderson Silva looked very, very bad, because this was his first fight back after suffering that horrific leg break against Chris Weidman. So let's get this going. So it starts at 12 minutes and 41 seconds on Fight Pass. 12 minutes 41 seconds. And look at that sold out MGM Grand, man. It's been a while since the MGM Grand looked like that. COVID causing all kinds of problems. But anyway, sync this one up for me, boys. Starts at 12 minutes 41 seconds. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see what we've got. I remember being really excited watching this fight live. Anderson Silva is one of my favourite fighters of all time, and after suffering that really bad leg break in the Chris Weidman fight, I remember feeling so excited that he was returning, and it was a great stylistic matchup for Silva, right? I'm pretty sure he was a massive favourite in this fight over Diaz, and it was a great fight for him to return to action. And I just remember he was very passive, very gun shy, and this for me was a big change for Silva. I think this was the first time we'd ever seen Silva really show signs of a decline. Of course, he's never been the same since that leg break against Weidman. But we're obviously focusing on Nick Diaz here in this session. Nick hands down low, talking a lot of shit early already. Oh wow, I remember him lying down, the lying down meme. I just thought it came later into the fight. I know that he was kind of fucking around, trying to mess with Silva. I didn't realise it happened so early in though. I thought that the gamesmanship started later into the fight. So Diaz playing some games here, trying to throw Silva off, which is obviously really funny because Silva built a career off this kind of gamesmanship. Silva built a career off, trying to screw people and get them off their game and then take advantage of that when they'd make mistakes. So interesting to see Diaz using Silva's old tricks against him. Hands down low. And I think this was the most shocking thing for me watching this live. No one ever able to stand in front of Silva like this. Usually standing in front of Silva with your hands down low would be a death sentence. But you can see the confidence of Diaz. Amazing to watch. And what is impressive here is how Diaz can get inside on Silva and land on him. For most of Silva's career, he was a ghost unless he was letting guys hit him. But you can see here he's bringing that Wing Chun in, where he just stood in front of Diaz and deflecting those punches that Diaz is throwing at him. And Diaz looking very comfortable here. Of course, this fight was 6 years ago, though. So doubt Diaz is going to look this comfortable in there, or he may look this comfortable in there. He's a crazy guy, but doubt Diaz is going to look this sharp at UFC 266. Nice one, Drew. Cheers, mate. Yeah, sorry about the late start on the live stream tonight, guys. Just been suffering with loads of tech problems. I wanted to get this started a lot earlier, but we're back. Both these guys in that even money odds range. Hopefully, we're going to be able to find which is the right side to be on here. I mean, the way I'm feeling about it at the moment, it's got to be Diaz, right? Because with how shot Lawler has looked against Magny and Colby, like, Diaz might absolutely be shot as well. I mean, he's also 38 years old, but you know, at least Diaz is probably going to show up to try and fight and to try and win, whereas Lawler just doesn't seem to have that fire anymore. I will say this, obviously Nate and Nick Diaz are obviously compared a lot for their gamesmanship, their toughness, their cardio, their durability. But Nick is moving a hell of a lot better than Nate is. Nick's boxing's looking pretty sharp here. He's also a lot better defensively than Nate. And, you know, standing in front of Silver like this is not an easy thing to do. Ghoul is just saying Nick's been partying hard for a long time. Be interested to see how he looks this weekend. Oh, sorry, next weekend. UFC 266 is next weekend. You still got Smith versus Spann to come this week. Alright, boys, let's get round 2 going. So round 2 starts at 18 minutes and 51 seconds. That's 18 minutes and 51 seconds. Sync it up, guys. 18 minutes and 51. 18 minutes 51. Let's go, let's go. What's up, guys? What's up? Let's get going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's get this round 2 going. Silva Diaz. I'm really impressed with Diaz in round 1. Obviously, we gotta chill a little bit. This fight was 6 years ago. Over 6 years ago. 6.5 years ago. Gotta chill a little bit. But it is fun to watch Nick here. And he's a hell of a lot better than Nate. A hell of a lot better than Nate. He moves much better than him. He's better defensively. Like Brett is saying, much better kicks. We're actually seeing Nick throw some leg kicks here, which is something we've never seen Nate do. And like I say, man, Robbie just seems to have lost the fire in recent years. Hasn't had the fire in his belly against Colby or Neil Magny. So Diaz shows up with cardio for 5 rounds, ready to scrap. Could be a tough night for Robbie. And it does speak volumes that Nick has been able to stand right in front of Silva and exchange with him and not really take very much damage at all. Like, no, who else can say that? From all the guys that Silva's faced, who can say they stood right in front of Silva in a phone booth and lived to tell the tale? Nobody, right? Definitely not Tito Ortiz, Jesus Christ. Definitely not Tito. But you gotta remember, you know, back when Silva fought Diaz, Silva was still considered greatest fighter of all time. You know, this was before all the USADA suspensions. You know, the weird fights where he'd shown clear signs of decline. No, this was Silva's first fight back after breaking his leg against Weidman. He was still a scary dude. And so for Diaz to come out like this, walk him down, stand right in front of him, get into these exchanges with Silva, it does speak volumes for how good Nick Diaz was. And it's a real shame, man, that Diaz hasn't been more active, because, you know, if you look at his record, how many guys, is there anyone else in the history of MMA that has gone the distance with the 2 greatest fighters of all time, Silva and GSP? It's 5 rounds, Brett. How crazy is that, dude? But, like, realistically, who can say that they went the distance with GSP and Silva. Like, it just speaks volumes for how good Nick Diaz is. And to think, through like contract issues and all kinds of bullshit, this guy, you know, you feel just didn't achieve anywhere near as much as he could have achieved if he was a little bit more active, which is a huge shame. So I'm really impressed by his boxing here, his striking, defense. Yeah, no idea why it's 5 rounds, Brett. It's a weird one. I only noticed it earlier on just as I was setting the stream up, and I saw on Tapology they had the 5x5. So strange, man. Cornish dude is saying, it's suddenly dawned on me that we might see 6 years of improvement in Nick's boxing. Judges might hate the style, but it was always very effective. Cornish dude has got a point. You know, I think it's really, really important to remember here that, like, Nick's not facing some young, hungry bull. Do you know what I mean? Nick's not going in there against Vicente Luque or something like that. Now, he's coming back against Robbie Lawler, who has looked totally shot. I mean, the one thing Nick Diaz has got going for him is that he hasn't shown any signs of decline. He looks fucking great here. He looks fucking great against Anderson. You know? So it's kind of like, obviously neither guy is going to be a safe bet with how old they are and the fact that we haven't seen Diaz in so long. But if he shows up looking anything like he has, or anything like he did here against Anderson, I think he gives Robbie big trouble. Big trouble. Stones is saying maybe they got a weird clause in the contract that if they fight 5 rounds on a pay-per-view they get points or something. Yeah, you never know, man. I wonder what kind of contract Diaz is on. He's so good though. Like, look at this, just stood right in front of Silva. He's playing Silva at his own Wing Chun game. And Diaz is very comfortable. Very impressive. Alright, sync up round 3 for me, guys. So round 3 starts in... Round 3 starts in 25 minutes and 4 seconds. We're on round 3 of Anderson Silva, Nick Diaz. 25 minutes and 4 seconds. Hugo Boss is saying Diaz wins. Maybe a finish in the 4th or 5th round. I do like your logic with that, Hugo, especially with how much damage Robbie took late on against Magny and Colby. Although Robbie is still a tough fucker, right? We even forgot to look at where these guys are training though, man. We need to check that out. Robbie was training at Sanford MMA, right? Looks like he's still there. There's the Sanford logo up in the top left. Oh, they're all wearing Sanford t-shirts and there's Henry Hooft. What a dick. I was like, oh, there's a Sanford MMA logo. Completely ignored the picture of fucking Henry Hooft and everyone in Sanford MMA t-shirts. So yeah, Robbie is at Sanford MMA, which is obviously amazing because it's one of the best gyms in MMA. So that's great. What about Nick Diaz? Is he even on social media? He is. Hasn't fucking aged, does he? He looks bigger though. I will say this, he looks bigger. He's got like a fatter face now. Please, Nick, don't punch me in the face for saying that. But yeah, he looks bigger, man, for sure. And of course, we have seen Diaz fight at middleweight in the past. So this is perhaps going to be a big weight cut for him to drop to welterweight. So obviously throughout his career he's trained with like Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez, his brother. There he is with Chrome Gracie. June 23rd. Tyson Fury, holy shit. Last of a dying breed, real fighting men, only a few can relate. That's so cool. Oh my god. Tyson Fury rolling. I can't see if that is Diaz. I think it might be. I will say this. I'm going to say something crazy. Oh, nice one, Hugo Boss. Thanks a lot for the kind words, dude. I will say this. I'm going to say something fucking outrageous now. I am going to say something fucking outrageous. Now, I'm not going to bring the Anderson Silva Nick Diaz fight over because the YouTube copyright algorithm is very aggressive. But is in me. That's kind of the picture I wanted. That one's a bit too low res. Okay, look at this, guys. Can you see this? Is this available in shot? Yeah, look at this, right? Is in me. Is in me, or does Diaz look in much better shape now? Is it possible that Diaz could look even better? That's Nate. There's Nick. He looks better, right? Is it possible he could look even better after a 6-year layoff? Surely not. I mean, that really would make him an outlier. But look at this. Look at this. He looks so much better. Getting excited now. To me, he looks a lot better, which is super interesting. Brett is saying, I know Diaz known for his cardio, but with how long of a layoff he is coming into a 5-round is crazy. JB is saying it's been very well known that Nick has been partying very hard over the last 6 years. Remember that interview with Ariel where he could barely speak a sentence, and nothing's changed there, right, JB? Nothing's changed there, mate. Nick's still a mumbling crazy person. Hugo, yeah, Hugo Boss is saying some interesting stuff. So Hugo is basically saying he's also not taken any damage in the last 6 years. Can't say that about Robbie. So ring rust, and ring rust doesn't apply to Diaz because he's a fucking psycho, which is another really good point. Very good point. GLR is saying if Nick is allowed to smoke a few joints before the fight, he can't lose. Fair point. Drew Leaston is saying that Carlos Condit is just retired and we're talking about Diaz and Lawler. It's crazy. Be very interested to hear how he sounds if he shows up to fight week interviews. I hope he does, man. You'd think that they would have a like big press conference for UFC 266, right? Cornish dude is saying that has he been doing triathlons the whole time in the last 6 years? I'm not too sure. Does anybody know? Does anyone know if Nick's been doing triathlons? Let me know, guys. I mean, obviously there was a picture of him doing a triathlon on his Instagram, but I'm not sure how active he's been with it. L Stack's just reminding us that the Silva fight was at 185 pounds middleweight, so he's bound to look bigger than he does at 170. Good point, L. Good point, mate. And then Drew Leaston is saying Nate and Nick are both vegan. Yeah, I think you're right there, mate. I think it was actually Nick that was vegan first, and he persuaded Nate to go vegan. So I think Nick's been vegan for possibly longer than Nate, because Nick was kind of crediting the vegan diet for his cardio. And GLR just saying he's fought in the clubs and taken lots of shots of vodka, so that might affect his performance. A good point, dude. Very good point. Really good point, mate. Yes, a 5-rounder, Taz. Alright, boys, let's get this next round going. Let's go. So, we're on round 3. Anderson Silva versus Nick Diaz. It starts at 25 minutes, 4 seconds. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I am actually surprised by how good Nick Diaz looks. For whatever reason, like, it's been so long, right? It's been such a long time since we've seen him. For whatever reason, I just thought that Nick was quite similar to his brother, but he's not. He's actually a lot better than Nate. He moves a lot better. His boxing's much better. He's faster. Throws a more diverse range of kicks. He's much better defensively. You know, how often have we seen Nate take huge damage against his opponents, whereas here we've seen, you know, Nick Diaz fighting a weight class probably above where he should be fighting against probably the greatest striker in the history of MMA, and he's been absolutely fine. No one's been able to, well, I will say this, no one at the time was able to stand in front of Silva like this. And you can see Silva just not willing to engage in any of those games. Silva's trying to, well, Nate's trying to talk him into coming forward and exchanging, and Silva just backs up. He's not interested, just happy to move around Diaz and chip away at him. And obviously one of the big reasons why Silva first lost his title to Chris Weidman was because he did start to showboat against Weidman. He got caught by that giant left hook, and you can see Silva's learnt his lesson tonight. No showboating, no fucking about. Very disciplined performance from Silva, and a real turning point in Silva's career. I know we saw a little bit of showboating from Silva in the Michael Bisping fight. There was like a little bit of it where he did the whole thing where he stands against the cage, uses his Wing Chun to deflect shots as his opponent attacks, but really, since breaking his leg against Weidman, there wasn't even much showboating in the fight where he broke his leg. All the showboating was in the fight before that against Weidman. Silva completely changed after losing his title. Perhaps that's why he wasn't as good, as he kind of lost that confidence and couldn't fight with the same flair that he had then throughout his career. Yeah, I agree with you, Hugo, mate. Nick is definitely the better Diaz. So what is interesting, I'm just looking through the comments, and pretty much everyone is leaning towards Nick here. I'm the same as you guys, man. Like, look, fight 6 years ago, no idea how Nick is going to show up and look. Based on what I'm seeing so far, all you can do is make the best decision possible with the information you got available. I'd rather bet on a tough, scrappy guy like Nick, who always shows up and puts a shift in, than someone like Robbie, who from memory hasn't really done much in his last two against Colby or Magny. And I do like how Nick is looking on his Instagram. From memory, Nick was always a little bit soft. So maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit by saying that Nick physically, like, I'm sure he's not in the best shape of his career. I'm sure he's not. But he physically looks like he is. I'm sure he's not at 38 years old, but physically he looks like he is. Taz is saying that the 5 rounds probably favours Diaz. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Robbie has really struggled in 5 rounders over the last few years, right? He looked real bad late on in the fight against RDA, although I know that I think he blew his knee out in like the 2nd or 3rd round, and then I know that he looked awful in the 4th and 5th against Colby too. Shower Feels is saying Robbie is washed. Yeah, I can't help but agree with you there, Shower Dude. I agree with you, man. It will be interesting to go back and watch the Magny fight and the Colby Covington fight against Lawler in the cold light of day and see like exactly how bad Lawler was looking in those fights. So sync up round 4 for me here, boys. Round 4 is Silva versus Diaz. Starts in 31 minutes and 14 seconds. Sync it up, boys. 31 minutes and 14 seconds. MMA Genius is saying, could it be a case like McGregor because Diaz has been partying every night, drinking and doing drugs? That's an amazing point, Genius, dude. 100%, man. It's a good point. You could be right there, man. 100%. 100%. Let's get this fourth round going. Diaz versus Anderson Silva. Get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, I do definitely agree with MMA Genius. Like, if you look at how much Conor's declined over the last couple of years, I do feel a big part of that is, Conor's lifestyle, right? All the travelling, all the distractions, the partying. I think in the lead up to the Khabib fight, Conor said that he has to have a drink pretty much every day. And I think that he actually cited that was the difference going into the Dustin Poirier fight, the rematch, that he wasn't drinking anymore. Like, that was a good thing, but you shouldn't really be drinking in the first place. I'm sure he said leading into the Khabib fight he was out drinking most nights, which is insane. And so I do think a big part of that, a big part of Conor's decline has been due to his lifestyle. We were talking about it in the breakdown for the Dustin Poirier rematch, right? Because we all bet Poirier to beat Conor in the rematch, and a big part of the rationale was, when you're an up-and-coming fighter and you're training hard and you're completely dedicated to your training, your strength and conditioning, your diet, and you're eating all the right stuff, and you're going from fight to fight, camp after camp, every day in the gym, doing everything right, all those good decisions, they start to compound and they start to add up, and you accelerate the rate at which you improve, and then your performances are going to be a lot better. But then compound interest, we know, swings both ways, right? So if you start slacking off training, not training as hard, you start drinking, eating bad foods, taking holidays if you haven't got a fight scheduled, that kind of thing, your athletic performance will decline. And I think that's a big part of Conor's problem. So it's a good point for MMA Genius, because 6 years on the bench for Diaz. I mean, Hugo Boss said earlier on that, on one hand you could say Diaz hasn't been taking damage and stuff over the last 6 years, whereas Robbie Lawler's obviously taken a lot of damage over the last 6 years. But then on the flip side, Robbie's probably also been in the gym training hard over those last 6 years, whereas who the fuck knows what Diaz has been doing? You know what I mean? And obviously we have seen Diaz's output drop quite a bit in this third and fourth round. He's really struggling to get to Silva. It's not like Diaz has slowed down or anything, but his output has definitely dropped. But I think a big part of that might be Silva's found his range now. And instead of kind of using his Wing Chun to stand in front of Diaz and play games and give Diaz opportunities to land, Silva's just on his bike now, using a counter-striking strategy just to circle away from Diaz and chip away at him. So I think that's why Diaz isn't having as much success landing. His output is dropped. The footwork and movement of Silva at the moment is just too much for him. This is what Diaz wants, right? In a phone booth. See him try and fight in close range to Silva. That's what Diaz wants, because to try and fight Silva at distance at this stage in Silva's career was fucking impossible. You couldn't get near him. He was like a ghost. Hugo Boss saying he doesn't think Robbie's going to do a lot in the fourth and fifth round. Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see, right? We'll take a look at how Robbie looked in rounds 4 and 5 against Colby. That was a 25-minute fight. Shower Fields is saying, do you think that we need to look much into that weird Helwani interview with Diaz a couple of years ago where he was spouting nonsense? Man, I will say this. Diaz brothers are kind of hard to read like that. You know what I mean? Like, when have the Diaz brothers ever instilled confidence in you from stuff they said in an interview? You know what I mean? Their antics, their games are crazy. So it is tricky to read too much into it, just because their personalities are crazy. They've got slurred speech. They say all kinds of crazy shit. Half the time they look like they've just got out of bed and they're not interested. I think it is going to be tough to read, too much into stuff like that, because of how crazy a guy that, Nick Diaz is. But at the same time, after a 6-year layoff, a guy like this is never going to be a safe bet. Because like a few people have said now, who knows what the fuck he's been doing over the last 6 years. But I do like he does look like he's in very good shape, which is a huge bonus. Alright, final round guys, sync it up. So after this we'll go take a look at Robbie. So this starts at 37 minutes and 30 seconds. 37 minutes and 30 seconds. Round 5, Silva versus Diaz. 37 minutes and 30 seconds. Sync it up boys. And let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So I am looking forward to seeing how Robbie's looked against Magny and against Colby, because from memory Robbie just looked completely shot. I think someone said it in the comments earlier on. Just looked like totally fucking shot. So that is what would make me lean more towards Diaz here. Just the fact that on Instagram he looks in pretty good shape, and last time we saw him against Silva, he's gone, 5 hard rounds with Silva, hasn't taken very much damage, which is kind of amazing considering one of the greatest strikers of all time is stood in front of him. And to be fair, he's done a pretty good job of getting to Anderson in the context of how badly guys struggled to get to Anderson, at this stage in Anderson's career. Like I say, for most of Anderson's time in the UFC before the leg break, he was a ghost. And of course we know on the back of this fight, Anderson Silva tested positive for was it like a masking agent? I think it was like a masking agent, right? I think might have been a steroid. I can't remember what Silva got popped for, but he did get popped by USADA after this fight. So I think Diaz did face a pretty good version of Silva on this night. I think the only thing lacking in Silva's performance here was that we didn't get the showboating from Silva that we were used to seeing before this, and we didn't get that kind of killer instinct from Silva which he showed up with, at times. Take care, Hugo Boss, mate. Have a good day, mate. Thanks a lot for stopping by, dude. So very much looking forward to seeing Lawler against Magny now, because from memory he did absolutely nothing in 15 minutes. And to be fair, Magny wasn't a terrible matchup for Lawler, like stylistically. Magny's not the best boxer. Doesn't react well to pressure. You would have thought that Lawler could have kind of walked Magny down and, maybe not won the fight, but at least have a bit of success with his boxing. And from memory, he had like 0 success. So I'm looking forward to going and seeing that one, seeing exactly what happened. Shower Fields is saying, should Diaz just out-volume him here? Can't see Robbie knocking him out at all. So if Diaz brings more volume, surely he picks up a decision. You know what, Shower Fields, man? It's kind of how I'm feeling about it. It's pretty much how I'm feeling about it. If Lawler's looked kind of totally shot, can't pull the trigger in his fights against, Magny and Colby, even if like Nick does decline majorly, at the very least we gotta assume Diaz is probably gonna show up with 5 rounds of cardio, right? You've never had to doubt Diaz brothers' cardio, right? So Nick's probably gonna show up with 5 rounds of cardio. It's also going to help that at this stage in Robbie's career, he's quite passive and tentative, so he's probably not going to push that much of a pace and make Nick work that hard anyway. And on top of that, you know, Nick's tough as nails, and Robbie hasn't looked dangerous for a long time. And earlier we were just saying that Nick hasn't taken too much damage in this fight, but that's changed in this 4th and 5th round as Anderson started to get a lot more aggressive. See Diaz wearing a lot of damage under that left eye now. I do remember what was quite funny about this matchup. I remember Diaz being very mad. I remember him being very mad at the decision here. Diaz felt like he won this fight. Diaz was very unhappy with the decision. I actually think that was a contributing factor for Diaz taking so long off. He wasn't happy with the judging. So David is saying, let's see how bad Robbie looks in his last 2 fights. It's really going to depend on that. But so far, I like Nick in this fight for sure at 2.0. Yeah, I agree with you, David, mate. So let's do that, boys. Let's take a look at Lawler Magny now. So what I'll do, I'll drop in an ESPN Plus link for you guys as well. So if you haven't got Fight Pass, but you've got ESPN Plus, you can watch on there. So I'll drop in links for the next fight into all the chat boxes. And there's a Fight Pass link there. And there's also a ESPN Plus link. So drop them in, boys. Here we go. Sync up this first round for me. GLR is saying, hope that Diaz is motivated and he's not just showing up for a paycheck. That's always the problem with him, right? Actually, it isn't. That's a silly thing for me to say. That's not the problem with Nick. Nick always shows up to fight. I guess that's why I'm leaning towards him here. Nick always shows up to scrap, always. You know, we can never say there's been a time when Nick hasn't shown up and performed. I mean, we've seen situations where Nate hasn't performed well. You know, we have seen situations where Nate hasn't performed well. The RDA fight springs to mind. Remember when RDA just hammered the legs of Nate and almost stopped him with leg kicks? You know, we have seen situations where Nate didn't look great. Even though Nate beat Anthony Pettis, I don't think Nate performed particularly well against Pettis. But Nick is a gamer, man. I can never ever remember Nick not showing up and performing well. To my knowledge, this guy's always shown up. Alright. Let's get this first round going, guys. Magny versus Lawler. Starts at 2 minutes and 1 second on Fight Pass. Cornish Dude is saying this a must-buy pay-per-view for a real fun-looking main card. The People's main event. Yeah, this is the People's main event. You're right, mate. It's going to be a fun one. Shame we have to suffer through Smith and Spann in the meantime. Yeah, it's crazy, right? What a contrast. Smith and Spann this weekend. Do you know what? I'm noticing not too many people are really that interested in the card this weekend. Not many people seem to really care too much about Smith Spann this weekend. It's a very tough card for betting. But yeah, this Diaz Lawler fight should be good. So let's get this first round going, boys. Lawler versus Magny. Sync it up. Get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see what we've got here. So from memory, what we've seen from Lawler is he's very gun shy these days. Just doesn't pull the trigger. Could be a bit of an issue against Diaz. Lawler southpaw here. But one thing I will say about Lawler, he does look in amazing shape, and he has done, right? I remember going into that Ben Askren fight thinking the Lawler looked absolutely outstanding. Lawler fishing for a takedown here, which is interesting because obviously Diaz has never had the best takedown defense and ground game. But Lawler's never had the best offensive wrestling. Showerfields is saying, who's more likely to lose this weekend, Tazrukian, Blanchfield or Jackson? I would say Erin Blanchfield, mate. I researched that fight a few days ago, and like Blanchfield definitely deserves to be a favourite. She is better than Alpar everywhere, but for me, those odds are a little bit weird with how big of a favourite Blanchfield is, because the one thing I think people may be overlooking against maybe overlooking when it comes to Sarah Alpar, is that all of Alpar's previous fights have been at bantamweight. See, all at bantamweight. Now she's very small. She's only 5'4" with a 63-inch reach, so she's struggled in a lot of these fights because her opponents have just been able to kind of outpower her and just outmuscle her. But for the fight against Erin Blanchfield, she's dropping to flyweight. So it's possible she could look a lot better at flyweight, because Blanchfield's also quite small. She's 5'4" with a 68-inch reach. Now I know that does give her a 5-inch reach advantage over Alpar, but Blanchfield's like a grappler that won't really use that reach. Blanchfield's striking is super sloppy, so she's not the kind of fighter that's going to be able to fight long and use that reach. I know the reach will help Blanchfield a little bit on the ground, give her a little bit more leverage to use those longer limbs to control Alpar if the fight does go to the ground. But I think Alpar's biggest issue at bantamweight was that she was too small. So at flyweight she could do a lot better. So out of the three big favourites, I do think Blanchfield's more likely to lose. Plus she's 22 years old, so she's young and inexperienced, and it's a UFC debut. You know what I mean? There's a lot of risk factors there with Blanchfield as a big favourite. ACZ is saying, I'm more interested in how Yoel does against Davis than Smith versus Spann. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm gonna be researching Romero versus Phil Davis while the NFL game is on. I'll be live betting the NFL, and I'm gonna research that fight in the background. So Lawler's worked his way back up to his feet here. Dug an underhook on that right side. Magny's still fishing for this double leg. Wow, Lawler took the underhook out on the right side. Big mistake from Lawler. So Magny didn't have a lot there. Lawler was doing a good job of defending the takedown by creating that wide base against the cage. He had that underhook on the right side. And Magny didn't really have anything in that position. And then Lawler took the underhook away, and Magny was able to drag him back down to the ground. So obviously we're seeing a lot of grappling in this first round, which we're unlikely to see in the Diaz fight. Ideally we want to see some striking here. Can't remember how much striking there was in this matchup. I know that there was a pretty big amount of striking in the Colby fight. Hey, what's up, Vardis? Good to see you, dude. What's up, Vardis, mate? You doing good, mate? Hope you're doing alright, man. Interesting. So ACZ's lean is Davis. My lean's Romero. Like, I was kind of blown away that Romero was the underdog in this one. I'm assuming he's still the underdog. Yeah, Romero's still the underdog. I'm real shocked. I thought Romero would be the favourite. Alright, boys, let's get into round two. And David's just mentioning that Robbie Lawler is showing the same weakness we identified in the research session for Anthony Smith, where Lawler's just hesitating. You know, instead of working hard to get to his knees and then immediately exploding back up to his feet, when he gets to his knees, he's hesitating, which is allowing Neil Magny to kind of wear Lawler down, chip away at him with ground and pound from back control, and use that body lock to keep him on the ground. So yeah, real bad fight IQ from Robbie here, making the exact same mistake that Darren Till made against Derek Brunson last weekend. You know, it's a huge red flag for me, because when you're in a position that you've created enough space for yourself to get to your knees on the ground, you've done all the hard work. All you need to do from there on is stand back up, especially when you're close to the cage like Robbie is, because you can throw yourself over the cage and then use the cage as a base to stand back up from your knees. When you see a fighter like Robbie just hesitate like that, it's more of like a will thing. Like they don't have the will anymore to work their way back up to their feet. You can't say Robbie doesn't have the energy. You know, if he was behaving like that in round 3, then fair enough. You could say he was tired, but we know Robbie's not tired in round 1. Just for whatever reason, he's just accepting being in that losing position. Yeah, we did good on football earlier on, Vardis, mate. We went 3-0 on football today, man. Just to let you guys know, if for you guys who are a member of my website, we live bet all kinds of shit in the VIP chat room. So tonight we were live betting Europa League football. You can see lots of action in here over the football. So if you guys are a member of the website, I just want to let you guys know that whenever there's like football on, we'll be live betting NFL later on. We'll be live betting rugby league tomorrow morning. The more the merrier, boys. Come join us. And if you know anything about other sports, help us out with some live bets. But yeah, today we live bet Bayer Leverkusen to beat Ferencváros, that one. Both teams are scoring. Napoli versus Leicester, that one. And double chance Napoli in that one as well. So it's a good day's work by this, mate. And hopefully, man, later on, JB and Soppy are going to be leading us in the battle, live betting this NFL game. So hopefully we can make some money on the NFL later as well. 3-0 on football today, boys. We got to keep it going. Anyway, and if anyone else knows anything about live betting NFL, please jump in the VIP chat room, man, and help us out. I haven't performed well on NFL this year. The only bet on American football I've won this year was a college football bet that JB gave us during UFC live betting. Can't even remember who he was on. I have no idea. I don't even remember the name of the team. It was a couple of weeks ago. But I live bet the Thursday night football game last week between... Can't remember who was between that. I bet that game. I lost it. So second night betting NFL this year. Hopefully you can make a bit of cash. Anyway, let's get this next one going. Round 2, Lawler versus Magny, starting 8 minutes 14. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, boys. Let's go, let's go. Let's go, boys. Harvey Dickens, mate. I'm going to research Rio Romero against Phil Davis when the UFC is on. Not UFC, sorry. When the NFL is on. There's an NFL game starting in about an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to research it while the NFL is on, just because it's such a slow-paced sport. We may as well, right? There's tons of commercial breaks, all that kind of stuff. Cornish dude is saying, remember Lawler caving Rory's face in with cumulative damage. And that was 6 years ago. Last time he looked good. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point, Cornish dude. That is a good point. That's a really good point. You know what? That fight, that Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler fight was one of the greatest fights of all time. But you know what? I don't think either guy have ever been the same since. You are right, man. You know, if you look at Robbie's career since that Rory McDonald fight, he was never the same again, man. Never, ever, 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 ever the same again. Like, lost a split decision to Condit, knocked out by Woodley. Donald Cerrone fight was razor close. And then his performances in these 4 have been really poor. So what's really sad about this fight is that it was one of the greatest fights of all time. Or is one of the greatest fights of all time. But neither guy has ever been the same again. They took so much damage in that fight. And you look at Rory McDonald in Bellator. He struggled bad, man. I mean, Rory McDonald has struggled in PFL as well. And this is one of those guys that was, one of the best fighters in the world. Rory McDonald was one of the best welterweights in the world, right? And since that fight against Lawler, where he suffered all that damage to his nose, just hasn't been the same. And again, we're seeing more of the same behaviours from Lawler that we saw from him in round 1, where he's just hesitating in these positions. Like, you look at this, Magny doesn't have anything here. Magny doesn't have anything. He's only got one hook in on the right side. Lawler knows that in that position he just needs to explode to his right and he can end up in top position, but look how much he hesitates. Lawler is hesitating in bad positions here, which is enabling Magny to make adjustments and rack up a lot of control time. So yeah, Lawler's behaving exactly like Anthony Smith here, but much worse. Because it's not even like Magny's got a dominant position really here. I mean, it's a little bit more dominant for Magny at the moment because he's tied up that left leg. But a few minutes ago, Magny only had one hook in, and Lawler could easily have just turned to his right and end up on top. Like, look at there, look at how much he's hesitating. It's actually painful for me to watch this because we know how much better than this Robbie Lawler is. It's so strange. It's so strange. It's so strange to watch Robbie behave like this. Just staying on his knees, not showing any urgency to pop back up to his feet. Yeah, Magny's ground game is awful, David. Is awful. If you guys go and watch Neil Magny against Michael Chiesa, which I think might actually have taken place after this fight. Remember, it was Magny fought Chiesa in the main event of a fight night card. Magny's ground game's awful. You only got to look at that RDA fight. You know, even the Tony Martin fight. Yeah, Magny's ground game is not good. Or what does he call himself these days? Anthony Rocco Martin, I think. But yeah, Lawler, this is a Darren Till type performance where you've got a fighter in Robbie Lawler, you've got a fighter in Darren Till. They know what to do in these positions. They know how to work through these positions. They know how to get themselves out of trouble. But they're hesitating, which is allowing their opponent to rack up damage, rack up control time, and put them in an even worse position. And again, goes back to what we were saying in round one. Does Robbie look tired here to you? Does Robbie look tired? Robbie doesn't look tired here to me. Robbie's still moving well. Still looking pretty sharp. He just doesn't have the fire anymore. It's the biggest red flag ever when you see a guy in shape like Robbie unable to pull the trigger or unable to work out of a bad position. It's almost like a self-destructive mentality. It half makes you think whether Robbie is like purposely throwing fights or something to get out of his contract. You know what I mean? Maybe he's got like a good relationship with Scott Coker and he's been offered a ton of money to go fight in Bellator, or maybe he fancies his chances of winning the $1 million tournament in PFL. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just he's old, right? And he hasn't got the fire anymore and he's on a steep decline. But it's really weird. Like, look at Henry Hoof talking to Robbie Lawler in his corner now. You can see Henry is like asking, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you could kind of see. Look, Henry is shouting at him. He's like, come on, Robbie, come on. Come on, Robbie. And you can see Robbie's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, boss. Very strange performance, this. So sync up round 3 for me. Sync up round 3. Start of 14 minutes 27 seconds. In between rounds, you can see Henry Hoof literally asking Robbie, what the fuck's going on, man? Why are you hesitating? Why are you waiting? Why are you giving these positions to Magny? So let's see now if Robbie responds to that. Comes out a little bit more aggressive in this third round. So let's get this going. It starts at 14 minutes and 27 seconds. Sync it up, get it going. 14 minutes, 27 seconds. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Let's go. Drew Leeson is saying Washington football team has a tough defense. Could be an ugly divisional game. I'd lean towards Washington, even with a backup quarterback. So is the first choice Washington quarterback out? Let me know, man. Let me know, Drew. Is it the kind of like the reserve quarterback playing for Washington? That's pretty huge, though, man. If their number one quarterback is out. This fight is an absolute shit show. Magny just pulled guard. Why is Magny pulling guard? There's no need for him to pull guard here. Why is Magny pulling guard? Cool. Labat is saying Washington is the pick if you're going to bet this game. I noticed the Washington are around minus 200 money line, right? For people in the rest of the world, that's about 1.50 decimal odds. So for absolutely no reason at all, Neil Magny's pulled guard at the beginning of this third round. Very strange. Absolute shit show of a fight. So yeah, I think what we need to do, obviously we haven't had a chance to see Robbie striking here. This has been a grappling match. So we'll have to take a look at that Colby fight to kind of get a read on where Robbie's striking might be at. But if his grappling's anything to go by, or not even his grappling, I can't even critique Robbie's grappling. Can't even critique Robbie's grappling, just like I can't critique Darren Till's grappling from last week. Can't critique anything. It's not about their skills, it's about their mentality. What we're witnessing from Robbie is a guy just not trying to win, hesitating in bad positions, gifting dominant positions to Magny, showing no urgency to work out of bad positions. And you can't even say making mistakes, he's just not trying. Like, look at this position here, right? Robbie Lawler's on his knees, tight to the cage. He's shown you that he knows what to do, because he's just stood back up, turned into Magny, and got that underhook on his left side. So, why not do this as soon as you hit the ground? And like here, he's released the underhooks, which is now enabling Magny to go to the tie clinch and hammer him with knees. Why not just stay to underhooks, or just disengage from there? Why just kind of do nothing and allow Magny to hammer you with knees? There's so much that Robbie is doing in this fight which doesn't make sense to me, because you know he knows what to do. You can see from Henry Hoof's reaction. He's like, what the fuck are you doing, Robbie? It's such a strange performance, and this is the biggest red flag ever. Like, when you see a performance from a guy like Lawler like this, when you know he's so much better, it can only be performance anxiety or just an overall decline, or self-destructive behaviour, or another motive at work. Like he's trying to throw fights to get out of his contract or something, hoping he loses 3 in a row and Dana tears up his contract. Who knows what the fucking reason is. But my problem is when a guy has shown absolutely no desire to win. Like, Lawler's tried harder to lose this than he's tried to win. What I mean by that is Lawler's made decisions in this fight. Lawler's made decisions in this fight which has made it hard for him to win. It's kind of self-destructive behaviour. And when that creeps in, you have to ask yourself, why would that change now? If we've seen him demonstrate that behaviour against Magny and Colby, now he's older, 39 years old, where's he finding motivation from now? Stacks is saying, think he wasn't motivated after losing the belt, plus old age, but think he will be up for a fight with Diaz because he knows there's a huge fight. You could be right, Stacks, mate. I will say this. Robbie looks in amazing shape, right? If he does show up and actually try to beat Diaz, it could make it interesting, but based on what I'm seeing, can't trust Lawler. So, obviously we didn't see too much striking in that fight. So let's go and take a look at the Colby fight now, boys. I'll drop the link in everywhere. Sync the first round of this up for me. Sync it up, guys. Sync it up. Let's get it going. This is Colby versus Lawler. Just to hopefully see a little bit more of Robbie striking. Alright, so this fight starts at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. So, Cornish dude is saying, Robbie never had good fight IQ though, did he? I think he is trying, he is just plain shot, bro. Yeah, maybe, man. You are right that Robbie never had good fight IQ though. Like, throughout Robbie's career, he was always one of these guys that was like, he just kind of held back a lot, didn't he? Like, so often in Robbie's career, he would, like, take rounds off. There would be, like, long periods of inactivity in his fights. You know, how often would we have situations where the fight was really close in the first and second round, and then Robbie would really put it on in the third? So, yeah, you are right, mate. He has held back a lot throughout his career, but... yeah, I think there's a lot more than bad fight IQ going on with him based on what we've seen. So what's interesting about this next fight that we're going to watch, Colby Covington against Robbie Lawler, is I know Colby's primarily a grappler, but Colby's style of striking is actually quite similar to Nick's. Neither guy's got too much power, but they like to come forward, kind of walk you down, put a high volume on you. They've both got very, very heavy boxing styles of striking. They both throw a really high volume, and you don't really see neither Nick or Colby load up on big power shots. They just constantly touch you. So it'll be interesting to see how Robbie deals with kind of like the high volume boxing style of Colby, because it is similar to the style of boxing we'll get from Diaz. Labot is saying, how big of a favourite do you think Diaz would be if the layoff was not a factor? Fucking huge, man. Honestly, huge. If you're asking me based on their most recent performances, how big of a favourite Diaz should be, fucking huge. Like, the version of Diaz that fought Anderson Silva would kill the version of Robbie Lawler we just saw against Neil Magny. But then we just don't know how Diaz is going to look after that 6-year layoff, right? That's the big problem with this one. But yeah, I think when you consider how good Silva was, how tricky Silva's style to deal with is, Nick Diaz being able to stand in front of Silva for 5 rounds, not really take that much damage until like the 5th round, is fucking impressive, man. So let's get this Colby-Robbie fight going. And this fight will be useful because we've seen Diaz's cardio over 5 rounds in that Anderson Silva fight. Now we'll get a chance to see how Lawler looks in the 4th and 5th. So let's get this going. Starts at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, boys. Let's go. So based on what we're seeing so far, I think Diaz is definitely the right side to be on. But it's going to be real interesting to gauge where Robbie's striking is at based on this performance. He's coming out very aggressive, looking pretty sharp here. But from memory, there were like long periods of inactivity from Lawler where he didn't do a lot in this matchup. He seemed very gun-shy, which isn't the case early. He's come out the gate super fast against Colby. We'll be researching Colby again soon, boys. He's got that big title fight against Kamaru Usman coming up. Which, the odds on that fight are interesting. The odds on the Colby-Usman fight are definitely interesting because I know Usman won the first fight. I know he broke Colby's jaw. But Colby and Usman are 2 fighters that do seem to be making big improvements from fight to fight. And I think a lot of people forget it was 2 rounds each going into that 5th round of the Usman versus Colby fight, right? 2 rounds apiece. So whoever won that 5th round would have won a decision. What's super interesting about that Usman-Colby fight is that Usman's a huge favourite, right? I think he's like, what, 1.36? Where are the odds? Yeah, average odds are about 1.36. So Colby is a giant underdog, which is super interesting to me considering the first fight was real close. Like, real close. I even think Colby wobbled Usman once or twice. Like, Usman immediately recovered and, like, kept a good poker face, don't get me wrong. But I just think that, considering how close the first fight was, the odds are way off there. I feel like the fact that Usman did finish Colby maybe kind of clouding people's judgment a little bit that this fight was actually really close up until the finish. And we've also got to take into consideration the fact that I think Colby broke his jaw in like the 3rd and 4th round. So had Colby not broken his jaw, he probably would have performed a lot better late on in that fight and maybe even would have nicked the decision. And what is again interesting, I don't want to go off topic here, what is interesting is that both these guys are getting pretty old for welterweights. So Colby's 33 years old. Kamaru Usman's 34 years old. At some point, one of these boys is going to have to start to decline. Will Usman show some signs of decline? Will Colby? Who knows? But I just think Colby is a big underdog. He's pretty interesting. ACH is saying there's some value at 3.0 plus on Colby, but I just can't bet against Usman. Yeah, Usman's a beast, man. You are right. You are right. Usman's a beast. I'm looking forward to researching it, though. To just go back and watch that first fight in the cold light of day without like the hype and drama of live betting the fight and watching it live and just seeing, you know, how competitive it actually was. We'll see. I just think the odds seem a bit wide considering how competitive the first matchup was. And again, what are we seeing again, guys? Lawler showing exactly the same weakness that he demonstrated in the Neil Magny fight. Like, what is Lawler doing here? What is Lawler doing? Colby has nothing. He doesn't have control of Lawler's body. Doesn't have any hooks in play. Yes, he's attacking with a rear naked choke like this. But notice how Colby keeps releasing the rear naked choke and alternating the sides that he's attacking Lawler's neck with that choke. Every single time Colby releases the grip on this rear naked choke, Lawler should be trying to do that. That's what Lawler should be trying to do. Did you notice as soon as Colby switched sides on that rear naked choke, Lawler immediately spun into Colby and stood back up? But my question is, why is he hesitating for 2 minutes in that position? What you should be doing is, as soon as Colby takes you down, immediately turning into him and popping back up to his feet. You know, the logic behind... but there is some method to the madness, right? There is a case in MMA for hesitating a little bit in positions like this at times, to take breaks or to give your opponent enough rope to hang himself, right? So maybe they burn themselves out a little bit. It can be like a strategic way of taking a little bit of a break and allowing your opponent to burn himself out a little bit. Maybe Robbie thinks there's no way Colby's getting this choke, so I'll let him attack with a rear naked choke for a little bit, burn his arms out a little bit, you know, thinking he's going to get it when I know I can keep my chin tucked and he's just not going to be able to submit me with this. But you don't drop a round as a result of that behaviour, and you don't hesitate for that long as a result of that behaviour. It's alright doing it a little bit, playing around in a little bit of the round if you know you can really crank things up towards the end of the round and, you know, get those points back, right? Score points towards the end of the round, recover that position. But you don't want to throw rounds away with that level of gamesmanship. You're only going to get yourself into trouble, man. So, I don't actually see Henry Hooft in the corner of... Robbie here. Do see Donald Trump Jr. though. So sync up round 2, boys. Round 2 starts in 9 minutes and 21 seconds. Sync it up, boys. 9 minutes and 21 seconds. That's 9 minutes 21. L Stacks is saying Usman has improved with Trevor Whitman and he finishes Colby in under 3 rounds. I'm not sure, man. Colby is improving as well, right? Colby's improving a lot as well. L Stack's also saying Colby's no longer at ATT. That's true, but I do think that MMA Masters Gym is very underrated. Cornish Dude is saying, I think Colby has peaked. Kamaru got cracked by Burns, but he just looks unstoppable to me. Yeah, I am definitely not saying... I'm definitely not going out and saying that I think like Colby is like a really safe bet, or I think is really likely Colby wins. I just think it's interesting how Colby is such a big underdog in a fight where their first matchup was so close. It's just like, that's very interesting to me. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, boys, let's get this next one going. Sync it up, round 2. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. David is asking if we live bet the first fight. I honestly can't remember, mate. There are a bunch of guys from the live betting group in here, though. Hilty, Brett, Crocs. I don't think Labot was with us back then. Taz was, Tobias was. So, yeah, let me know, boys. Did we bet the first fight? I can't remember. I can't remember, boys, if we did or not. Let me know. Not too sure. It was a long time ago, right? So again, more of the same hesitating from Lawler, just sat here, allowing Colby to kind of hold him down. I mean, look at this. Colby has nothing, doesn't have control of the legs, doesn't have control of the body. As Lawler starts the motion that he's going to stand back up, Colby attacks the head. And then finally Lawler stands back up. But after hesitating for 30 seconds. The problem with the behaviours we're seeing from Lawler is that they are behaviours that fighters on a steep decline demonstrate. That self-destructive behaviour, not having that fire in their belly and that will to win. It is red flag city, man. It's red flag city. It's not good. And this is what makes me very much lean towards Diaz, because for all the risk factors with Diaz, and we don't know how he's going to look after a six-year layoff. Maybe he looks even worse than Lawler does here. But if Lawler's not going to try to win, how is he going to win? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is why my pick is Diaz. We know Lawler's takedown defense is a fuck ton better than what he's showing here. So why is he giving up weak takedowns? We know because he's shown us in these fights and in his entire career, when taken down, he knows how to work his way back up to his feet quickly. So why is he hesitating? Why isn't he doing that? We know he's a much better striker than what he's showing us. Why is he hesitating against the cage like this? Why is he hesitating with his back against the cage, trying to be some Anderson Silva type Wing Chun guy? You know, that's the reason why I lean towards Diaz here. For all of Diaz's weaknesses and risk factors, at least we know Diaz always shows up. Maybe he won't show up at UFC 266, but he always has in the past, so he's given us no reason to doubt him. With Robbie, just isn't fucking trying anymore. He just isn't trying to win. He just isn't trying. He's so hesitant. Like, what is he doing here? What is he doing here? Why are you just sat there? Why are you just sat there? Colby doesn't have control of the body, doesn't have control of the legs. He keeps alternating the side in which he's attacking the neck, and Robbie just stands back up. It's just fucking infuriating to watch. It's honestly just infuriating, boys. It's such a bad performance from Lawler. We know he's so much better than this. Hey, what's up, Randy? Good to see you, dude. What's up, Randy Garcia, mate? Hope you're okay, mate. ACH is saying, no way, man. Colby has a bad case of pillow fists. L Stacks is saying, I don't think Diaz Lawler will go to the ground. 5 rounds of stand-up with Diaz by decision. I like your thinking there, L Stacks, mate. I agree with you, mate. I think you bang on, mate. I think you bang on. Cornish dude is saying it's like the purest example of a shot fighter, especially if you compare it to Lawler versus McDonald. Yeah, 100%, man. You know what, dude? You know what? If someone was like, show me an example of a fighter that's declined, I would tell them to go watch Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald, and then I would tell him to go watch this and tell me this is the same guy, because it looks like the same guy. Like, it does look like the same guy, right? Robbie's in great shape, doesn't probably look that physically different from how he looked against Rory, right? It looks the same visually, but he just is consistently making bad decisions in the fight. He's not letting his hands go. Like, what is this? What is this? What is he doing? Kind of plodding forward, trying to stay behind that high boxing guard, but he's not pulling the trigger. Very strange. And I think that's why the lean here has to be Diaz, because I'll say it again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but if Diaz is going to show up to win, and Lawler is not going to try to win, it doesn't really matter what shape they show up in. If Lawler's not going to try to win, how is he going to win? Because this is the Lawler show. I'm not saying Lawler would have beaten Colby, and I'm not saying he would have beaten Magny. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if you don't try to win, you have no chance of winning. Doesn't matter if Robbie Lawler's fighting Hannah Cyphers, right? Lawler could be fighting Hannah Cyphers here. He could be fighting Sarah fucking Alpart. It doesn't matter who he's fighting. If he's not trying to win, he's going to lose. It's as simple as that. If you're not trying to score points, if you're not throwing strikes, if you're hesitating in bad positions, how do you win? You can't win. It's like in basketball. If you don't shoot, you don't score. You know? If you don't shoot, you don't score. The Milwaukee Bucks could be playing a fucking high school team. If they don't shoot, they're probably going to lose the game. Doesn't matter how good they are. You know? Let's get this third round going anyway, boys. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go. It's obviously risky as fuck. It is obviously risky as fuck, right? It's risky as fuck, boys. But this fight is in the even money odds range, so we do need to find an even money bet for this fight. We need to put in an even money bet for this fight. Right? I don't want to bet too much on Diaz. But under the terms of these even money betting category, right, we have to pick a winner in this. We have to. We have to pick a winner. Has to be Diaz. Have to bet a little bit on Diaz here under the terms of this type of bet. And we obviously perform well on this type of bet. We perform really well on this type of bet. It has to be Diaz, 100%. Has to be Diaz. Lebot is saying for Diaz to come back after 6 years, I can't imagine a good Nick Diaz at least is not going to show up for this. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. I mean, he looks in good shape on his Instagram, right? Is Diaz really going to just not... Is Diaz really coming back for a paycheck after 6 years? Probably. But is he going to show up and not fight? That seems so out of character. It would seem really out of character for a Diaz brother to just come and not fight. He's going to be feeding off the energy of the crowd. Do you guys know if they can have a sold out crowd at the T-Mobile Arena, or are there social distancing restrictions in play? Do you guys know? I know that it's the Wild Wild West in Arizona, Texas and Florida. They can do wherever they want, but I wasn't sure if there were still COVID restrictions on the events in the arenas in Vegas. Randy Garcia is saying, I think Lawler's going to win. You know what, dude? I'm not saying Lawler's not going. I'm not going to say Lawler can't win, but based on what we've seen in this session, I do think Diaz is the right side to be on. Cornish dude is saying Nick hasn't seemed like he is itching to fight when at some of Nate's big fights, but he is hardly an open book. Yeah, these boys are so difficult to read. I bet he has a fire inside and will show up to try and win 100%. Oh, cool. So Drew and Spiz are just letting us know that UFC 266 is sold out. Yeah, I agree with you, Vardis, mate. So this is actually the perfect fight for us to watch, I think, because like Colby's style of striking is pretty similar to Diaz's, as crazy as it is to say that. I do think in many ways Colby would never admit this. Colby would never admit this, but I've always wondered whether Colby was maybe influenced a little bit by the Diaz style of fighting. Because when you look at Colby's style of striking, it's exactly like the Diaz style. Come forward, just throw with insane volume. Don't load up or anything. Just focus on touching your opponent. Touching. Frustrating them. Landing a high volume, which makes it difficult for him to settle into a rhythm. Rack up damage, rack up volume, and just wear them down with pressure. You know, Colby would never admit to being influenced by the Diaz brothers, but you can see a lot of the Diaz style in Colby's style. I actually think Colby does it better than the Diaz brothers because obviously he mixes in his grappling as well. And I'd also say he's a lot better defensively than Nate at least, and throws a much more diverse range of strikes than Nate. But Lawler's just not firing back yet. So yeah, I think that the lean on this one's definitely going to be Diaz, boys, 100%. And it'll be interesting now in this 4th and 5th round to see how Lawler looks in this 4th and 5th. Yeah, he's real good right via this, mate. I got some Colby Covington rookie cards being graded over with SGC at the moment. Looking forward to seeing what grades they come back. So yeah, we're probably going to wrap this live stream up after this fight, boys. We'll watch the 4th and 5th round of Colby Lawler. So sync up round 4 for me, which starts at 21 minutes 51 seconds. I definitely think in terms of these even money bets, I've already got it open, but in terms of these even money bets, Lawler's definitely the right. In terms of these even money bets, Diaz is definitely the right side to be on, and like I say, we perform really well on these bets, so I'm happy for Diaz to be our even money bet here. And let me know what you think, man. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment in and let me know what you think. Let me know, boys. Drop a comment in and let me know what you think of this one. Let me know, boys. Let me know what you think as we wrap this one up. So sync up round 4 starts at 21 minutes 51 seconds. I don't really want to watch Nick Diaz against GSP just because, you know, that fight was, you know, even 2 years before he fought Silva. So this fight was, how long is that going to be? That's like 7 years ago. Outrageous. 7 years ago. So I think what we saw from him in the Anderson Silva fight is good enough for me to lean towards him here. Don't really need to go and watch any more. I feel it would be a bit of a waste of time making a judgment on Nick based on fights that took place like 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, it's a fucking waste of time trying to form a strong opinion based on a fight that took place 6 years ago. But, well, it would be actually 8 years. 8 years ago that he fought GSP. So, yeah, it's don't see too much value in going further back than the Silva fight. So sync up round 4 for me. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And as we wrap this session up, just let me know what you think. And don't forget, boys, if you like these research sessions, I live stream all my research on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Diary of Pro Gambler, as well as my website on the website. Fight research for all UFC fights. So if you like this, you want to take part in more of these research sessions, I live stream like 4 or 5 hours every day. Check it out, man. And yeah, obviously Diaz coming on a 6-year layoff, no idea how he's going to look. But with both these guys in the even money odds range, gun to my head, you can't tell me the Lawler's a better bet than Diaz. Not a fucking chance. Based on what we've seen, this is Diaz all day. Just hopefully he'll show up. And unfortunately, the only way to know if he's going to show up is watching the fight at UFC 266. But I do think it helps that Diaz looks in good shape on Instagram. What's up, Michael Burkitt, mate? What's up, dude? Brysky is saying he was at the McGregor-Poirier card and it was a packed house. Sounds good, dude. Drew Leaston saying the New York event will be interesting to see if it actually happens in New York. Yeah, I'm guessing Dana's going to have a standby location for that one. Although Dana did say in his Contender Series like post-event interview that he'll definitely be going ahead in New York. We'll see what happens though. Shit can get crazy, right? Especially in November when, you know, in like autumn, winter seasons, COVID tends to get even worse. Cornish dude is saying Nick a bit pillow-fisted. So in that respect, No. Probably, yeah, I don't really see the point in watching their first fight, man. I mean, how long ago was it? Jesus Christ. No, it was... That's a long time ago. 17 years ago. No. 17 years. That's a long time. L Stacks is saying Nick's pillow fisted until he knows they are hurt, then digs into the body with loads of power. Well said, L Stacks, mate. ACH is saying he leans Diaz, but it's 50-50 for him, so he's going to pass. That is very smart, dude. Michael Burkett saying Diaz boys are tough. RDG is saying Diaz has been out for 6 years, so his return could be as bad as Chuck Liddell. Great point, man. Diaz could come back and look totally shot. You're right, mate. Will be surprised. I would, to be honest, I would be surprised. I would be surprised if Diaz looked totally shot, only because is he really the type of guy to come back after a 6-year layoff and embarrass himself in front of millions of people fighting in his underwear in the cage? You know, I'm not sure if he's like that type of guy. Like, one thing you can always say about these these Diaz boys is they always show up and fight. So let me know what you think as we wrap this session up. Michael Burkett is saying gun to the head, I'm taking Diaz. That's kind of how I feel about it, man. Brysky is saying, I think you're right. Nick is the right side to be on, but too risky for me. Yeah, I get it, dude. 100%, mate. I do agree with you. So Cornish dude has brought up a really good point. He has said that we don't know how Diaz will look, but we do know how Lawler will look, and Lawler looks fucking shocking. So that's a good point from Cornish dude. And to be honest with you, it's why I'm leaning Diaz, right? At the end of the day, we can speculate as to whether Diaz is going to show up or not. How bad he's going to look after a 6-year layoff. We got to speculate on that. No one knows the truth. He's probably not going to look good at 38 years old. But we know, with a pretty high level of confidence, based on how Robbie's looked against Magny and Colby, the Lawler's probably not going to perform well. Like I'm like 80% sure Lawler's not going to perform well based on this fight and the Magny fight. So let's sync up round 5, boys, and then we'll call this research session a day. Thanks everyone for watching, man. I really appreciate it. You guys help me out with this research a lot. You help me by pointing things out that I would otherwise miss. And I think like that group think, like that wisdom of crowds thing in these fight research sessions, especially on complicated matchups like this where there's a lot of X factors, it's really helpful, because if you just research a fight by yourself, like say I was just researching this fight by myself, you know, I might not feel a lean too strong either way, right? With all the kind of crazy X factors with the layoffs, the age, how much Diaz has been partying, all that kind of stuff. But then when everyone is looking at the same thing at the same time and everyone's coming to the same conclusion, it probably means that that's the right side to be on, you know? So it's really useful, boys. So let's get this 5th round going. It starts at 28 minutes and 1 second. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And yeah, that'll be it then for tonight. That is going to be it. Things of Steph is saying you are delusional thinking Nick Diaz will win. How do you respond to a statement like that? You are delusional for thinking Nick Diaz will win. Don't know how to respond. Guess the only way you can respond to a statement like that is no one knows what's going to happen. But all you can do is make the best decision possible with the information you've got available. And I think based on all the information we've got available, based on all the stuff we've spent the last hour and a half watching, hour and 30 minutes watching, I think it's more likely that Diaz wins. I will say that. More likely. But yes, Nobody knows how Diaz is going to look after a 6-year layoff, age of 38 years old. But my logic with siding towards Diaz here is I don't believe Robbie's trying to win anymore. There's something weird going on with him. Maybe he's lost the fire, the passion, the determination, the hunger. Maybe he's suffering from CTE and he can't think clearly. His brain is mashed up. He just makes bad decisions in fights. Maybe he's intentionally losing to try and get out of his contract. He's hoping that if he loses enough fights, maybe, for all we know, Lawler might be locked into one of these huge contracts. You quite often see UFC tying up popular fighters in lengthy contracts. Like you'll see, when a fighter wins a title, like they'll sign like a new 10-15 fight contract. I think when Conor became UFC champ, he signed like a 10-15 fight contract, something like that. For all we know, Lawler could have signed a huge contract after winning the title that he's tied up in, and he's trying to lose because he knows, in the UFC, if you lose, 3 fights in a row, usually you get released. Maybe that's Lawler's logic. Maybe he's been offered a lot of money by Scott Coker to go fight in Bellator. Maybe he fancies his chances of winning that $1 million tournament prize in PFL. But he can't go fight there and chase that money because he's under contract. There's got to be something going on with him. Because I could tell you right now, when you look at his performances against Colby and Magny, this is not a guy that's trying to win. Especially the Magny fight. In the Magny fight, it was almost like he was making conscious decisions to lose. There were so many moments in that fight where there was a right thing to do and a wrong thing to do. And you knew that Robbie actually absolutely 100% knew what he needed to do in that position. And so often he made the wrong choice. It's so self-destructive. That's why I go with Nick Diaz. Because, we don't know how Nick's going to look. But at least he's probably going to show up and fight, which is more than can be said for Lawler. That's the way I would look at this one. Oh yeah, for sure. Things and stuff, dude. I don't think anyone is going to be betting a lot on Diaz here. So risky. I don't think, obviously if anyone was to say Diaz is a super safe bet or anything, they're crazy. That's not the case. Like someone else said earlier on, Diaz could come into this fight looking like Chuck Liddell did in that crazy fight against Tito Ortiz in Oscar De La Hoya's promotion a few years ago. But based on what we've seen, Nick is probably the right side to be on. So yeah, I don't think anyone is saying go bet a lot of money on Lawler or anything like that. But I would prefer to have my money on Diaz than Lawler, put it that way. Drew is saying Robbie looks rather stiff. The weight cut may not be the easiest anymore. He's gun shy now. Too many things working against him. How does Lawler win is the question. Volume KO submission is hard to see. Yeah, I agree, man. It's definitely hard to see him KOing Diaz unless his chin is completely shot from his lifestyle over the last few years. And then with how passive he's been against Colby and Magny, hard to see him win a decision as well, right? And he's unlikely to try and grapple with Diaz. Weescape Cycling is saying Diaz will win by corruption. Well, that's interesting you say that. Weescape Cycling is saying that Diaz is going to win by corruption. But you know what, man? Robbie Lawler is the king of corruption. If you look at Lawler's record, he won some dodgy decisions, man. Remember when he fought Johnny Hendricks and he won the title? That was like one of the worst decisions you'll ever see in a title fight. Johnny Hendricks won that fight clear. And Lawler got absolutely gifted the title. Hendricks was robbed in this fight. It was a bad one. So if Diaz does win by corruption, Lawler will just be paying a little bit back. L Stacks is saying Father Time's caught up with Robbie, plus the McDonald and Condit fights took it out of him. Yeah, I agree. Well said, L Stacks, mate. Anyway, boys, that's going to be it for this live stream. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I say, if you do like these live streams, I live stream my research for every single UFC fight on Twitch. If you watch on YouTube, there's a link to my Twitch channel in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, Cornish Dude. Take care, L Stacks. Take care, WeScape Cycling. See you later, Drew Lee Steen. Take care, Michael Burkett. See you later, ACH. Take care, Cornish Dude. Thanks a lot for popping in late things and stuff. Take care, everybody. Who we got on the Twitch? Hugo Boss. Take care, boys. And then Vardis, Labot, Spiz, Crocs. Nice one, boys. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. And I will see you all in the next live stream tomorrow. Nice one, guys. Take care. Have a great night. Bye.